Welcome to Courageous Leaders. Thank you for joining us today. I am Dr. Todd Wirt, and our mission at Discovery Education is to prepare all learners for tomorrow by creating innovative classrooms connected to today's world. DE serves approximately 4.5 million educators and 45 million students worldwide. We are proud to bring you Courageous Leaders, a leadership learning community that is dedicated to making a lasting impact. Courageous Leaders convenes an incredible group of industry leaders and education executives to partake in transformational conversations and inspire others through their actions and words. That brings me to why we're here today. It is my honor to introduce you to our Courageous Leaders Advisor and my co-host today, Dr. Christina Kishimoto. Dr. Kishimoto is the CEO of a for-women and by-women company called Voice for Equity. She served as the Superintendent of Education for the state of Hawaii, Superintendent of Schools in Gilbert, Arizona, and Superintendent of Schools in Hartford, Connecticut.
Thank you, Todd. I'm so excited to be a part of this mission and important conversation. Courageous Leaders is an opportunity to bring together diverse thought leaders leading in education today to share the type of practices that make a difference in student lives and drive innovation in the classroom. Our guest today is Dr. Miguel Cardona, a courageous leader himself. He was sworn in as the 12th U.S. Secretary of Education on March 2nd, 2021. Secretary Cardona's focus throughout his career on raising the bar for equity and excellence in education for all learners guides his leadership of the U.S. Department of Education in service of the nation's 65 million students, ranging from pre-kindergarten to adult learners and their families. Secretary Cardona has 2 decades of experience as a public school educator from Meriden, Connecticut, the same school system he attended as a child. Secretary Cardona, thank you for being with us today. It's so exciting to have you here in Wisconsin and with us having this conversation.
Thank you.
So you've had this Raise the Bar bus tour, you've gone across several states. Yeah. What were you hoping to accomplish when you started this tour, and what have you learned so far?
First of all, it's great to be with both of you. Raise the Bar, Lead the World is that. We need to raise the bar in education across the country, and we need to lead the world. We've normalized the United States being ranked somewhere in the 30s when compared to other countries in literacy, numeracy. That's unacceptable. We can do better. So we're going to raise the bar in education across the country. While some want to spend their time trying to divide education, we're working on raising the bar and leading the world. And for us, that means focusing on those things that we know as educators and as parents matter. Making sure academic excellence is at a high level. Not only are we recovering from a pandemic, but we're reimagining education to push higher. Making sure that mental health supports are there for students at a level that we didn't have before the pandemic, and we certainly need now. Making sure that every classroom has a highly qualified teacher. We hear a lot about shortages in the classroom, teacher shortages. To me, that's a symptom of a teacher respect issue in this country. So we're going to lift the profession and bring attention to the fact that we need to make sure we're investing to have highly qualified teachers in every classroom across the country. And then pathways. For me, if we can provide pathways to students, we increase their ability to succeed internationally. So pathways to multilingualism is critical. And pathways to college and career. Giving students options when they graduate, we're doing something about that. Yeah.
Mr. Secretary, you mentioned lifting up educators during this time. What's your specific message to our educators?
Yeah, first of all, one of the benefits of this bus tour is I get to feel that magic. I was a school principal, a classroom teacher, and first day of school, man, I had butterflies. I don't care how many years I did it. It was just such an exciting feeling. I get to experience that in this bus tour. And I know that across the country, we have 65 million students that are walking into our schools with educators in front of them that are going to do everything in their power to help them reach their potential. That's a powerful. You know, our public schools provide opportunities. They open doors. I'm an example of that, man. I had only what my public schools provided me, and now I'm advising the President of the United States. That's the power of public education. So for me, my message to the educators is our country's growth depends on you. Whether or not we reach our potential in this country depends on you, and we see you. And we recognize that we're not holding up our end of the bargain and respecting our educators. It's not just our classroom teachers, it's our school principals, our leaders, our para-educators, those who drive buses, those who feed our children. We're raising the bar for them as well. We need to make sure that we're supporting them. Oftentimes, they're feeling attacked, and they're put in the middle of these different political, arguments, or they shouldn't be. They're serving our children. We need to support them. When we invest in them, we're investing in our children.
One of the things I enjoy listening to is your personal story, because your personal story is about the message of hope, right, in this nation, and the power of public education, that access. And so we know we're post-pandemic. There are all kinds of challenges, though, that families and children are still feeling today. What's your message of hope to our young people in this nation?
Our future is brighter because of them. I have so much hope in our country's future because of our students. My message to students is we're listening, and what you say matters. And it's really important that we listen, because our schools have to adapt to what your needs are. So we need to elevate student voice. And it's more than elevating student voice, it's listening and making sure that education is responsive to their needs. For me, I get inspiration from them, just engaging with them and seeing the potential that they have.
You mentioned on your bus tour, you've seen the collective power of a community owning the ascension of their students and their opportunities. What role does business and industry play in improving literacy rates, in providing access to innovative opportunities like the ones you've mentioned?
Yeah, absolutely. Our schools, in many ways, are not in sync with the evolution of this country. We have millions of careers that are going to be available to these students. I want to make sure that our education system is helping students have the skills necessary to be successful in that space, in addition to going to college. So when we talk about business and industry partners, they need a seat at the table, but not when the students graduate. When we're developing curriculum, when we're talking about externships or apprenticeships, we need to get our students learning by doing. I often say, when during the height of the pandemic, my own children were learning from home 2 days a week. And then we returned back to school full time. And I feel like we kind of went back to how school was done before. Let's continue with the innovation. Let's let our students, instead of learning from home, let's let them learn in the field. Let's give our juniors and seniors who are driven to explore careers or college, let's put them out into the learning environment where they can learn by doing, by engaging with others. We have an opportunity to be innovative. There's more federal dollars and support from at the federal level to promote innovation, whether it's through our innovation grants or the work that we're doing at the state level to help states move in the college and career pathway programs. We have opportunities here that are exciting. And our business partners, our industry partners, should have a seat at the table. They should be thinking about our students as their next leaders. One of the joys I had today was having a conversation around college and career pathways. And the lieutenant governor was around the table. We had the mayor around the table. We had the state education superintendent and the local superintendent. We had a congressman around the table. They all understood their role. Yesterday, I had a similar conversation with industry partners as well. They understand that if they invest their time and energy into the K-12 system and into the 2-year and 4-year college system, not only will they get their leaders for the next generation, but their current company could benefit from professional learning opportunities using the university. I saw that in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. There was a Fortune 500 company that set up shop in that community for $2 billion to set up shop there. And the vice president of this company told me, we chose this place because we knew the community college would be willing to train our staff. So in that community college partner, I have professional development for my staff. And we know that the K-12 system is going to work with our staff to make sure that there's a pipeline for talent. That to me is where we should be going in education. That should be the rule, not the exception.
You talked about the folks that you have been convening with in this tour. You're our chief executive educator for the nation. You have this opportunity to convene thought leaders, decision makers, and policy makers in this nation. What's your policy agenda?
Look, you know, for me, my experience as a fourth grade teacher, a school principal, and as a father have really influenced what I look to as my North Star. In this country, we've normalized that some students are achieving higher than other students, and that there are gaps in achievement that have been in existence as long as we've been collecting data. And I say we've normalized that. I want to bring the urgency back. All children should be achieving at high levels. Our literacy rates, our numeracy rates are unacceptable. The pandemic made it worse, but there was nothing to write home about before the pandemic. As a country, we can do better, and we will do better. So for me, ensuring that all students have access to high quality programming, highly qualified teacher in front of the classroom, making sure that their mental health needs are being taken care of, and that our schools are places that care for the holistic needs of the child, and then innovation so that our students have better opportunities when they graduate. They have choices when they graduate. I can't tell you the number of times I've talked to families or students as young as 6th grade who said, I can't go to college, I can't afford that. Just yesterday, I talked to a high school student who said she wasn't planning on going to college because she couldn't afford it. But because she was connected with an apprenticeship to an employer, the employer will be paying for her to go to college. That's fantastic for her, but that's not the case all over the country. We have work to do to make sure the loan system works for everyone and that higher education is accessible and it's a good return on investment. I'm committed to that because I know it opens doors. And that's our game plan, and we're sticking to it.
You mentioned innovation.
Yeah.
When you use the word innovation, what does that mean to you?
You know, innovation for me means that our school system is evolving to meet the students' needs and our country's needs. And both of those right now are changing. Our students' needs are changing. They need to be learning hands-on. They need to be learning in a way that they're more engaging with one another. The days of rows and desks, our schools are still set up the way they were 2 pandemics ago. 2 pandemics ago. Our kids are changing, our students are changing, their needs are changing, and then our country's changing. We need to make sure that our schools are preparing students not only for college, but also for some of these career opportunities that exist. So for me, we need to evolve, and innovation needs to make sure that we're meeting students where they are, that we're in tune with our regional needs, right, and our country's needs. And I said before, apprenticeships is an example of that. Making sure we're not measuring success in seat time or just one standardized test. Giving students real-world experiences to engage in problem solving along with people that are a little bit different than them. Having students explore learning of different cultures. If we want them to be successful and, for example, grow a business that may have customers outside of the country, then we need to give them exposure to different cultures. We need to focus on making sure students that are either underrepresented or haven't had the most support or the same experience historically get more support. I'm talking about Black and brown students that have historically performed at a lower level because their experiences aren't as rich or they don't have as much funding. I'm talking about rural students who deserve the same opportunities for college and career as students that have more resourced districts. So for me, innovation is not only evolving to meet the demands of what our country needs and what our students need, but it's also innovating to provide opportunities for students that have historically not gotten the opportunities to be successful. It's on us. You know, there's more federal support and funding and flexibility than ever before. I've been in education over 25 years. And while I recognize that a lot of it, the American Rescue Plan dollars, sunset next year, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, $2 billion, sunsets when the grants go out, we're also pushing for more Title I dollars, for more IDA dollars, for more Pell Grant dollars, to make sure that we could sustain some of these efforts to level the playing field and provide innovation in education.
Mrs. Secretary, I have great appreciation, as I think we both do, of, it's on us. That statement about the changes that have happened are things that have been collectively led. The changes that haven't happened that need to happen is also because we across the nation haven't led through those changes that are necessary. One of the fastest ways to engage in change is to be better listeners and of what students are telling us they need, what they want to succeed. And I know that for you, student agency, student voice is so important. And so I'm wondering, in the last few years, what have you heard from students that has given you a different view of who our students are today, right now? Not designing for students like us when we were in the seats, but for today's students. What are they saying? What are you hearing from them?
Sure. So, I recall one of my best experiences as an assistant superintendent was when I led for the district an effort to increase student agency and student voice. And what we did is we picked a cross-section of students from schools, middle schools and high schools, and we gave them training on leadership. And the students came together once a month to talk about what's working in the school and what needs work. And they took it so seriously. They interviewed folks, they had surveys, they talked to parents. And then once a month, they would take this information and pull it together and summarize it. These same middle schoolers and high schoolers presented to the staff. They presented to the school administration. And it was the expectation that their input drove parts of the school improvement plan. And those students, they grew like 2 feet that year because they felt empowered. They learned more about themselves than anything else. And it was amazing to see the growth in those students through that experience. Why can't we do that for all students? Why can't we create agency for all students? So to me, as we think about innovating, we need to make sure that we're student-centered and we're listening. And what are they saying? What am I hearing? We need to learn by doing. We need authenticity and we need honesty. We don't like the bickering. We don't like public education being put in the middle. We just want to do well. We want to engage with our community. We care about our planet. We care about our community. Students don't need analog facts anymore. They have their device for that. They need critical thinking. They need to learn how to engage with one another. They need to navigate tomorrow's jobs, not the jobs that we have now or the jobs that we remember growing up. So to me, the act of getting student voice embedded in our education system is going to be critical if, number one, we're going to keep student engagement really high, and if we're going to prepare them for tomorrow. And I'm not talking about random acts of listening to students. I'm talking about infusing student voice, all students, not just the top 10 scholars, all students, the students whose experience in the schools is not that great, the students who don't feel welcome, the students who struggle to do well in school. What are they saying, and how can we engage them? Because they're going to be the leaders of tomorrow as well. It's a mindset shift, Christina, and to me, there's nothing more powerful than seeing students take agency in their learning. But isn't that our role, to help them find their voice? Isn't it our role to help prepare them to take ownership of their lives once they leave our four walls, right? They're ready to talk, but we're not designed to listen. And I think it's a moment now where the schools that are more effective are the ones that are designed to listen to their students.
Mr. Secretary, I thank you for being with us today and sharing some of your thoughts. I thank you also for being a deep listener as you do your tours for the last few years and bringing constantly the voices of students and teachers and parents and communities to the forefront. We have been listening. We appreciate the time with you, and we thank you for your leadership.
Thank you both for your commitment to education, your contribution to education, and for lifting up the voice of educators and for lifting up the important work that we have to do to make sure that our schools and our students have the best opportunity to succeed. Great to be here. Thank you. All right.
As I said in the beginning, Discovery Education is committed to supporting the work that courageous leaders are doing, and we are partnering with industry to provide unique learning opportunities for students across the nation. It is our mission to meet every student by name and by need. If you're interested in learning more about DE, visit discoveryeducation.com.